My name is Anuna de Wever. I'm a Belgian climate activist, but I prefer human rights. Climate change will be irreversible. We are in the last hour of being able to do something.
It's crazy to think that the EU would be ready to sign an agreement to bring meat from South America while we know it is part of the problem.
To get it in the media should be amazing.
Yeah. My name is Tokata Iron Eyes, and I'm from the Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota.
I go and I speak to these people, I make them cry, and they tell me like, oh my God, like the work you're doing is so good. And then I come back and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So it feels like I'm just being put through a paintball machine.
I was born and raised in Syria. So we fled the country to Lebanon, and I was just 12. So in 2017, I've received the International Children's Peace Prize. The first thing that came to my mind when the explosion happened was like, oh, I don't know where my mom is.
If we don't get it, shut it down! If we don't...
These problems are not just problems, they're my lived experience.
If they really did love all of God's children, they would take these policies away.
It's difficult to balance the fear that you have and the freedom that you aspire to have.
We made this process come together. We rule the world.
I would love for our world leaders to take responsibility and do something.
This is actually gonna change something.
Every child in Nigeria should be protected at all costs.
This movement is never gonna stop.
We do not want to become a lost generation.
For pretty much equality and equal rights for everyone. My name is Savannah Skyler. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am 16 years old and I am a Mormon lesbian that lives in Utah. So I was in 6th grade. The first time that I ever had a crush was on a girl. I didn't think that these feelings were lesbian feelings until I later realized. I didn't know gay people existed when I was younger. I ended up looking up what girls loving girls meant, and I came out to my mother, and I came out to my stepdad, and I came out to my biological father. After that, I was like, you know what? I'm also going to want to come out to my ward or my neighborhood. I went up for a testimony meeting and I was like, okay, don't be nervous now. This is your time to shine. Tell them what you think.
I know I can have all of these things as a lesbian and be happy. I believe that if God is there, He knows I am perfect just the way I am and would never ask me to live my life alone or with someone I am not attracted to. He would want me to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to love myself and not feel ashamed for being me. I ask you to...
And I got about 2/3, I think, away into my testimony where the microphone shut off. And it went very viral, and it really did put me into my place of activism, and it gave me a platform to speak my truth. We still have a long way to go to help with homophobia, transphobia, and racism, but we're slowly getting there. Yeah. We should be standing up with each other to fight the real oppressors. Yeah. Even though my main focus is being an LGBTQ plus activist, I am a human rights advocate, and because I went to the Black Lives Matter protest, I want to show that us as marginalized groups can stand in solidarity.
It takes one person at a time, have us all stand up together, put a little pressure on on the politicians. Make some change, lobby them. I think that's what we gotta do.
Just like when we were walking down here, when do we want justice? We want it now.
Yeah.
And we are the people that have to start making that change. So I think it's important that we were here today and that we got to see the protest and be a part of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can make the same type of change for all marginalized communities.
Yeah.
The Mormon Church has a long history of exclusion. They only started accepting Black members in the year of 1976. The Mormon Church has a very powerful political stance here in Utah, and it makes communities like the LGBTQ+ one not feel safe and accepted. So it's my job to change that.
Are you stressed for the meeting?
I'm not really stressed actually. I'm just very positive because Angela is a smart woman, and I feel like she's gonna understand what we're saying. We're not gonna have to explain to her what the climate crisis is, which sometimes happens with politicians. So I'm mostly just very excited for some reason.
That's good.
What, are you stressed? Do you not think it's gonna go well?
No, I'm sure it's gonna go well. I think you're really ready.
Okay.
You guys prepared very well, so.
Yeah. And like I was up reading last night and like making some notes still, because about this whole Mercosur trade agreement thing, I feel like we're gonna be the only ones in the room really like addressing that, and it's so important to me. Like since we've been in the Amazon, like for me it's the only thing I can do to help, and it's the responsibility of every European to block that fucking trade agreement. So I'm just mostly stressed about that, but yeah, it'll be fine.
Of course it will.
I had like the interview with the radio show. He ends with like, you know, Anuna, actually, you being a climate activist, I don't understand why you just didn't do it on Zoom. Like, why would you have to go to Berlin by bus? I'm like, what the fuck, dude? If I was the CEO of a car company, you wouldn't be shitting on me. But when we go with bus to Angela Merkel to convince her that our future is not safe and she needs to do something, they're like, why did you go by bus? I don't understand how they don't understand that is so small-minded. It's like, what did you do? Why is this our responsibility? It makes me so fucking angry. I just hope that this is actually gonna change something. Because if Merkel actually does something like she did with the refugee crisis or like what she did with nuclear, if she makes a step like that, it could actually finally change something big. And maybe like I'm too hopeful about that, but just because she wanted to see us for so long, I feel like she wants to make this kind of plan or something like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do now. Like for her legacy, it really is time to do something right now. I had only shorts and these pants.
But these pants are good.
I know.
I
like this view. We just need to come down.
Good to have you here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Take your seat.
I still don't get the impact of the explosion. It's been difficult watching it from abroad.
Before the explosion in the COVID pandemic, Lebanon was already suffering from out-of-control unemployment. The currency has become pretty much worthless, basic food is now unaffordable, and people are blaming government corruption. Half the country was already living below the poverty line, but the explosion means tens of thousands more are now homeless.
So my mom, we've lived together in Lebanon for 4 years. She travels back and forth from Sweden to Lebanon, so she lives half there. And my mom was a teacher. When we started the school, Gharse, in Lebanon, it became our way of continuing the revolution. It became our small revolutionary act. Leaving Lebanon after 4 years of living there and after 4 years of working in the school was not an easy choice, neither for me or for my mother. But I think my mom perceived that this is her fight and she want to continue it until she can't. So that was a very difficult choice for her to not live with us.
مرحبا هلو
هلا
فانه ايه صح وخصوصا هلا صحي كيف الانفجار معكم بس مطعم المدرسه بالبقاع ما صار شيء ما اثر عليها
لا ما صار شيء ابدا بس مستوى القلق على البلد على الوضع الامني بالبلد وخصوصا انه في مظاهرات كثير ببيروت وبالمناطق بعد التفجير فالناس كثير ارتفع مستوى القلق عندهم هيك الخوف يعني وفي حاجه حقيقيه لتضل مثل هذا يعني المدرسه هي مكان ومساحه امنه للناس يعني بيحسوا فيها بانه اسمعين عم تسكت فيي متضامنه
وايمن ناوي ترجعي ولا انه ايمن عم تخططي ولا ما بتعرفي هسه؟
لا مو بعرف بس يعني مو عن قريب لازم يضل يعني لازم يضل في شخص عم يتواصل بشكل دائم مع الناس يعني فما بينعمل اونلاين كثير مشان هيك انه هلا ما عم فكر انت بتقدرش.
نعم طيب حبيبتي خلص شو اسمه بكره بنحكي هسه اكثر بس تكون انت افضل وبس انا اكون افضل بنحكي وبنسلم. باي 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 باي. I wish she was here, but because we believe in the same cause and we strongly believe in it, and it made me who I am and it made her who she is. Yeah, our relationship is more based on the actions that we take rather than the time we spend together.
My dad, also being an activist, has definitely made it easier for me to talk to him about juggling all of these different parts of my life. Because in a lot of ways, what I'm going through, he has already gone through. So it's definitely very nice to have somebody that not only I can look up to, but I can learn from.
I don't want to have to choose between my education and the work that I'm doing. Like, I feel like it's both equally important.
It feels really good to be like in our homelands, and at the same time it's like entirely devastating because there's settlers all over it. Like
trying to charge us money.
Yeah, charging us money to visit national parks, charging us money to visit sacred sites that we've been doing ceremony at for like before these people were even here.
Growing up indigenous without agency, we like the fight is uphill from the jump. People call it environmental activism, but it's something different than that. It's really life or death. It's not activism or, I mean, it can be called that because we are going to be highly active. But where does it come from? It comes from our bloodline, it comes from our DNA. We're not taught the truth about ourselves. So we're constantly doubting ourselves and who we are and are without authority and without economic empowerment. And that's not an accident.
I don't think anybody really understands what this fight looks like. It feels like very almost like Twilight Zone-y. Like, it's like, how is this even possible? Like, I feel like I'm living a freaking nightmare. Why do you get to be here? Why do you get to live here? And I'm living in a POW camp. My ancestors fought and died for this land, and they died at the hands of your direct grandparents. This part of the earth, the Black Hills, birthed us as a nation. It gave us the life that we have and our reason for surviving to this day. Colonizers were constantly encroaching more and more with Western expansion. They decided to make contracts and treaty agreements with the Native nations after continuous massacre. The Black Hills are held in trust right now. The US government has offered time and time again to give monetary compensation. They could pay us trillions of dollars and it wouldn't amount to what they've taken from us.
The land needs to be physically given back.
I said, if you put indigenous lands back in indigenous hands, we can begin to heal the world.
They could pay us trillions of dollars,
right,
and it wouldn't amount to what they've taken from us. It's about like creating and reinvigorating your own culture again into your life, like recognizing that like we don't all have to be the same like monotone like people, because the reality of it is we don't have all of the same dreams. Like we are just as complex and nuanced as any other individual on this planet. Like we deserve to create realities that are fucking cool, that we feel comfortable in being completely ourselves. And from an indigenous perspective, like that is an act of sovereignty. That is what land back is. That is, you know, this like generational fight to just be who we are.
Right.
This is a very Mormon neighborhood, so everyone lives really closely together, even though we're in separate houses. My house is right here. And then my church building, you can kind of see it from right here. It's kind of funny how close it is because I used to see it as a convenient way to get to church since it was so close, and like wearing stuffy church clothes and holding like the 10-pound scripture bag. But now it's kind of sad because it really makes you realize that sometimes even the closest things can be the farthest away. I don't ever go into the church building anymore, so that's kind of sad. I just made it depressing. I have a couple of young women's people still come over every so often. They're just girls that I've always grown up with since I was a little kid. We all know each other by name. And sometimes they'll just be like, hi, why don't you ever come back to Young Women's? We miss you. And I've thought about taking up on their offer, and I have a couple of times, but it never really turns out good because none of them are really supportive of my identity. So I have a rainbow flag up in my window right there. So I think people really know we are the queer family of the neighborhood.
So I'm really excited because my friends are coming over to hang out for the first time in a few months because of COVID. Tomorrow's our first day at school, so we're all kind of on edge.
Hi, Savannah. Maybe we should sit over here. Are you guys excited to go back and deal with all the kids?
I am. I like my people. I'm so excited to see people again. I have been shut in my room for the past 4 months. I need people again.
I'm so scared for school to start up, and I'm just not excited to go back. You know, I'm manifesting a good school year, but I don't think that's gonna happen this year.
I do.
So you're excited to see your people, but are you excited to see rude kids?
I mean, but I ignore them. It doesn't if they're rude and they're mean, I purposely am just go around them.
It's a little more scary this year. Things are a little more tense. You're walking on eggshells a little more because, I mean, I am black. That's obvious. But why is it something that needs to be debated on, whether or not somebody's life matters or not?
Exactly. They hate when women are in power.
When women are in
they
power.
hate when gay people are in power. I'm like, they don't like it when the people that they consider lower are
If
powerful.
you're not conforming to how society in America is, then you're a threat.
Yeah.
That's the way that I see it, and you need to be taken down, but that's not what's going to happen. It's disheartening. And it makes me not want to go to school knowing I have to deal with those people almost every day.
I think a lot of the hatred and racism and homophobia that we deal with at school comes from a lot of like ignorance.
Yeah, most
Not
definitely.
only from like religion, but being sheltered in Utah, you don't get to see a different perspective. It's so whitewashed here and so straight.
It is insane. And to be able to be in friend groups, like meeting you and you was a highlight of my sophomore year because all of a sudden I could feel more myself. I could be more me, and that's not even something that I feel like I can be even at home.
Worst case scenario, it gets worse and it's like people are less understanding and no change is happening. Best case scenario, change is willing to be listened to, or we're willing to be tolerated.
The two top priorities for teachers should be make your classroom a safe place for students and make it a place for learning and educating people.
Yeah. So it was great talking to you guys. I really missed you. I'm gonna be honest.
So much.
Being trapped in a basement for like 4 months, just like sitting there is boring.
It does something to a person.
It does something.
Exactly. This is already helping my mental state.
I turned into a gremlin.
The only thing that really gets me through the school day is my friends. It kind of sucks being a young lesbian within Utah, especially seeing how high the suicide rates are for queer youth. So hanging around them and being around them really shows how important it is that queer youth need a safe place.
Adelaide, you can sit here next Anuna, yes, then Greta, and then Luisa maybe.
Would you please detail a little bit about the discussion with Angela Merkel?
We went to Angela Merkel because we wrote an open letter to all heads of state and world leaders, and we had a few demands in there, and the thing that we mostly asked for is the fact that we want leaders in this crisis, and we don't have any leaders right now that are treating the crisis like a crisis. And also, more specifically, we talked about the Mercosur trade agreement, and we said it is really not okay if Europe would sign this and ratify this because it would violate human rights in the Amazon forest, and we are also already now responsible with Europe for the destruction of the Amazon forest. And I was very happy to hear that Angela Merkel said she would not ratify the agreement as it is today.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is that we asked her to treat the climate crisis like you treat any other crisis, to prioritize the future ahead of the now.
And we also talked to Merkel actually about the fact that the European Union is now releasing 2,000 billion euros of state aid, but we are still investing it in an economy that inherently fuels the climate crisis. So instead of investing in a sustainable future, we're still investing money in a future that I myself don't even want to live in.
Dus ik ben nog een beetje afwachtend, maar ik moet wel zeggen dat ik er een positiever beeld over had toen voor de meeting dan daarna. Nu, er was één supergoed ding. Die deal zou in november, oktober worden vastgelegd. Angela Merkel heeft mij bevestigd dat hij het momenteel niet gaat doen. I think Merkel is taking steps in the right direction, but it is not enough.
always weird for us. Yeah, like we used to buying stuff fresh, from the local grocery stores and stuff like that. In Lebanon, where I used to live, we have the Malaysian bread, but because there is not very good ones here in Sweden, which is something I also miss, so we buy tortilla. But it's good. You can replace stuff by other stuff here. So in a sense, you can find your own place here. Hey. Food. Hello. ونشايل جبت انا فاصليه نشايل بامي. يلا بنعمل بامي معناتها لان هي هسه بدها تفك.
اليوم حكيت مع مامي بتسلم عليك ومشتاقت لك.
الله يسلمك.
قال مشوبين كتير وما في كهرباء وما في مي وما في شغل.
الوضع بده يسوق من السيء للأسوأ.
وفي لصوص صار يعني
حرامية.
حرامية. يعني الناس وهلا بالكورونا كمان يعني علان. لك كيف كنت يعني مو مثل الماما. الماما سريعة مثل كيف
متعودة.
هلا بخرب المطبخ كله. بحرق البامي.
How badly the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic have affected the refugees, and how slow the response was from international organizations or the government or NGOs, because no one was prepared to it, and then the explosion happened. So that's why I've actually been working on setting up an emergency fund, which will be used as a relief fund for any crisis that's going to happen in the future that's going to impact the Syrian refugees. And hopefully I will be able to visit Lebanon to see the situation now after the explosion and everything, and in a sense to reconnect with it.
So weird. I think that it's probably one of the weirdest things to contemplate, just how many people have seen my face. This is really cool. I met Greta Thunberg in September of 2019. And when she was touring around the US and she had sailed from Europe, she told me that there were 4 places that she really wanted to see when coming to the US, and the top 2 were the tar sands and Standing Rock.
Because this crisis does not care about the imaginary political boundaries that we put up amongst each other. It does not care whether you're rich or you're poor, you are black or you're white.
And I was fully for the next 3 days planning this tour.
In many ways we are so much alike. We share the commitment to saving the planet.
And I was 16. I guess it was always shocking to me that people would just, I guess, allow me the agency of planning entire events. I was also a part of this Marvel's Hero Project, so they made me into a comic book. It's really cool. But this is me, 9 years old.
I remember going there when I was 4 years old with my family. We hiked a long way, and I saw an eagle flying over a mountain. Please help save our sacred site.
Yep, that's the first one. That's the very first video. This is a shot from a video I did with Naomi Klein on the day that the easement for the pipeline, for the Dakota Access Pipeline was denied by the president at the time, which was Barack Obama.
And what just happened?
And now the easement for DAPL was denied.
When?
Just now.
And how do you feel about that as a 13-year-old who just launched a campaign with your friends and your family?
I feel
like I got my future back.
You got your future back, honey.
To this day, it's like one of the most depressing videos ever, because like not even a month later, Donald Trump was elected into office, and like the first thing that he did was make sure that that pipeline was put through. But when that happened, it really sent me not to a good space. Like for a while, like I forgot how to cry, because it was just like I couldn't touch sadness anymore because of how like really deep like that sort of hurt runs. Because those were like our sacred sites. These are where our ancestors died. Like these physical places, these lands are like our sanctuaries, and they are our places of prayer. And to see it desecrated like that was like not okay.
So are you nervous to go back to school at all?
I am kind of nervous to see the kids from my past, because I've grown up with all of these kids, but it's kind of difficult because some of these kids have grown up bullying me.
Right.
I was told multiple times of like, oh, well, if you're not gonna have sex with me, then I'll just rape you, or you should just go kill yourself because you're a lesbian.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, that's kind of the life. So going back to school and having like the whole Black Lives Matter thing brought up over the summer, and having civil rights brought up over the summer, you get scared to bring up anything, because my school is so Mormon, and there's not a lot of progressive Mormons where I live. And then like trying to find other LGBTQ plus kids that are willing to talk about that stuff, because most of them are in the closet, is really difficult. So it's hard to find a community within such a Mormon high school.
This is really cool.
I just have like my favorite pins.
Okay.
I'm excited. So I think there's a lot of them here that are really applicable to today. So like pretty blatant statements like my body, my choice, and Black Lives Matter. Yeah, let's put them on the top.
Okay.
Talking about gender identity and sexual orientation, I want to put this one on. It's the lesbian flag, and I think this is definitely something that's been with me since I was little.
Yeah. How do you feel like kids at school are going to respond to seeing things like this on your bag?
I'm gonna get a lot of dirty looks because these are all kind of controversial things to people. The last time I did something anywhere similar, they took all of my bag with all of my previous pins and threw it away.
Okay, I didn't know that.
All of these pins show something that I want to represent every single day, and something that I want to put out there and hopefully make a change or change someone's mind. It's going to be hard to find a place where I can be myself, 100% myself. I can't even go into the temple.
Yeah.
I can't partake of the sacrament. And if I were to have any kids in the future, they would not be able to be baptized in the Mormon church unless they submit a letter and say that I am wrong and that being LGBTQ plus is a sin.
Yeah.
If God intended me to be exactly who I am when he created me, then he would be proud that I'm out and proud to be a lesbian, because he created me in his image.
Yeah.
So I believe God is happy that I know who I am, and that he would want me to be in that life. He would want me to be a lesbian and be proud of who I am. So I think God would
not care that I'm gay.
Yeah. I believe that too, that God loves you as you are, and that I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I really hope that if they did care and if they really did love all of God's children, that they would take these policies away. I would hope that they would find a more humane way to support their brothers and sisters and siblings in the queer community, because what they're doing is not in the slightest caring for me or any of the queer community.
Yeah.
Knowing how much people not accepting me and being bullied makes me realize how much I need to make a safe place within my school for LGBTQ plus students.
Wow. Let's see this outfit you have planned for tomorrow. Why don't you try on your backpack?
Okay. I think it looks pretty goat.
Let's see. I think it'll look good.
Thank you.
I hope nobody beats you up.
Yep, me too.
الانفجار هذا بأي دولة في الكائنات في اليونيكورن بيكون في فساد كبير وبيكون في يعني لما ما في شفافية بالتعامل مع الناس.
كنت عم بحكي مع الماما والله. كنت عم بفكر انه اذا فيني انزل على لبنان كرمال شوف غرسة وكرمال اطمن عليها.
تفكير منيح بانه هلا تسافر بهذا الظروف على لبنان؟
لا الصراحه لا مو كثير منيح. لا بس وخصوصا كورونا وكذا، بس يعني لانه الحاله عم تصير سيئه كثير. كنا عم نفكر نعمل حمله تبرع، واذا بدنا نعمل هاي حمله تبرع كويس اني انا انزل على لبنان، بس شوف الوضع بتاع انه اطمن واحد على ماما، اثنين على غرسه وكذا، خصوصا انا فيه وبجي لهون وهون بيصيروا الناس يوثقوا كلامي اكثر. يعني بقلي انا الاسبوع الماضي كنت بلبنان وشفت الوضع، فبصيروا هون فممكن يتبرعوا اكثر.
فيك تنزل، بس انه بالشكل عام الحدود المطار هلا بوقت الكورونا كمان مو بس انه يعني
لا مو سهله. لا هلا كنت عم بتاكد شو بدي اعمل هذا امتحان الكورونا، بيحطوا لك شغله بخشمك بيفوتوا لك اياها بخشمك طلعوها من راسك.
العامة صعبة يعني.
صعبة
هيك سمعت.
فقلت بلحق انزل مع اذا بدي انزل ما عم بفكر انزل فترة طويلة يعني شيء.
وانا راح تخليني لحالي هذا.
يمكن شيء اسبوع.
كم يوم. ايه بقى بروح، بس انه يعني انا بدي ضل خايف عليك. يعني بلين بشكل عام بدك تدير بالك، يعني بتمنى لك توفيق روح. يعني روح وسلم لي على لبنان.
نشوف.
ماشي حبيبي.
Actually, the explosion in Lebanon also reminded me of how important it is to tell people about what's going on. I've been working to organize this emergency fund raising for relief work event. And I think it's an idea that is not, I'm not gonna do it for one time. I think I'm gonna work on it more, because I think it's very, very important, not just in the context of Lebanon, in all contexts.
So reservations are actually, like, at their foundation, prisoner of war encampments. So back in the days of the Indian Wars, right, these were agencies and these were forts for colonial soldiers to watch over the Indians. And so these places were under military occupation, and if you left these places back in the day, you were considered a hostile Indian and you could be shot dead. Me and my friends want to start a youth group to sort of start getting everybody on the same page about what direction we want the Oglala Nation to be headed in, specifically with our coming elections and specifically to inspire more young Indigenous women to vote and also to run for office.
It's been too long. So we were just talking about like we should start a youth council. Yeah, or maybe we just call it like a youth group so that way we don't have to work like through the tribe.
Yeah,
you know
we can be
I mean?
independent.
We make our own media. Let's make ourselves strong enough to start fighting back for the things that they took, right? Taking back the Black Hills is a dream of our ancestors. Like, it's been a generational fight. Like, our grandmothers, our grandfathers were fully talking about this, and there were plans to do so.
It's like it's always been
our nation.
It's always been an idea to get it back.
Yeah.
I mean, this, like, not just the Black Hills, but literally the land that we're on, the land that, like, South Dakota and North Dakota, Montana, literally, it's
borders.
like, yeah. If all three of us had the power, we would easily just go back. Yeah. We would go to the Black Hills and demand it back.
Right.
Like, but it obviously it has to grow from within.
Yeah, it has to be an organized thing, and it has to be in
Built
a place,
up,
where we feel safe enough to like go up there and physically occupy.
We have to take the steps to be like
we have
cautious.
To,
like,
and then what happens is if we do it and we're not ready, we'll fucking go to prison. And then who's here organizing? I mean, I think Indigenous existence as a whole is resistance because we're survivors of genocide. And our communities are small enough to where if one person speaks up, like, we're all fucking listening.
Yeah.
It's really an astronomical thing because this sort of work like has never been done before.
Especially by like young Indigenous women.
Like, we've never been the face, of these sort of movements. We've always been, illegitimized and pushed to the side. And this is an act of reclamation of who we are and who we're supposed to be as young matriarchs. And we're making sure, right, that the next
in a new
young
generation.
Indigenous girl, has more and better opportunities than we ever got. Has idols that she's looking up to in media, has idols that she's looking up to in history, whose stories were told. This is what young Indigenous women are capable of. And like, you better get with it, or you're gonna get left behind. Like,
get with it or get left behind. Hola, people.
But okay, can we hear one good thing
good
from
thing.
Angie?
Yes, there is.
Like, she was like, right now it hurts me so much that the Amazon is being destroyed. How could I ever sign an agreement like this that would destroy it even further? Yes. Wow, that's good. So nice, babe. Okay, maybe guys, let's cheers to Merkel.
Well done. Cheers to you,
Cheers.
Merkel.
Cheers to us. We're now kind of wrapping up the day. I mean, the days, it's been super chaotic and kind of stressy, and I'm quite happy it's over. And like, I'm also just really, really tired because like we went out tonight to like celebrate that it went well, and we had a lot of media coverage, and the meeting with Merkel was okay, and like I hope it continues from now on. But I'm super tired, so I'm just gonna go to sleep because we have to check out tomorrow morning, super early as well. And then we're gonna go do the strike because it's Friday and we strike on Friday. So I'm gonna go to bed in my beautiful bunk bed over here. And then we have to clean up this whole room tomorrow. But life as a climate activist. All right, good night, guys.